crazy? You want me to throw more beers out? You want me to body slam somebody? You want me to body slam Kamala Harris? I said, do you want me to body slam Kamala Harris? You want me to drop the leg on Kamala? Is Kamala a chameleon? Is she Indian? Okay, I like it. Ow. I'm gonna get heat for that one, brother. That was not me, that was the beer.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Hulk Hogan did it again. The Hulkster, he did it again. He upset people with his political jibber jabber. This time, he was at one of his own events where he mentioned and joked about body slamming and dropping the big leg on Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, and the internet exploded. They went crazy. And we're going to sit here and talk about it a little bit. First, I want to give my thoughts. Then we're going to go to the peanut gallery. This is absolutely, without question, worthy of smart tears. So, Hulk Hogan is drunk and I guess he's selling beer now. And he's giving away beer and it's just some kind of small show or whatever. And he kind of does this little call and response thing. And he talks about, should he body slam somebody? You know, I'm pretty sure I put the video and before this so everybody could see it and hear it. So, should he body slam Kamala Harris? It says, and he gets a pop for that. Then he says she dropped the big leg on her. He kind of gets a pop for that. And then he says, is she a chameleon? Is she an Indian? And then he says, oh. Like she was supposed to be like a Chief Running Water or something like that. Like, that's the wrong kind of Indian. The wrong kind of Indian. I mean, I'm not going to lie, bro. Donald Trump got shot. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this is some kind of literal threat. It's tasteless for sure. Especially considering Kamala Harris is a female. But there's people who are here sending messages to the FBI because they want Hulk Hogan investigated. And you got to chill, man. Some things are just tasteless jokes, and this is just a tasteless joke. And of course, everybody thought it was racist because everybody swears everything Hulk Hogan does is racism. But then again, once you get labeled as a racist, I mean, you eating marshmallows by yourself in a cabin is somehow racist. You know, you like to listen to the water drip from your sink somehow. That's, reminiscent of Chinese water torture. So you must be racist. I don't like these comments by Hulk Hogan because I don't think they help his case. I don't think they help the people who are energized by his commentary a couple of weeks ago and the symbolism of what I said before about, the God and country demographic being frustrated with what's going on in the United States. And yeah, this kind of embodies their frustration in terms of they want somebody to do something to Kamala Harris or do something about her. But body slamming her and dropping the big leg, come on, that's a bit much. That's a little too much. And then because he just spoke at the RNC, it's bad politics for Trump. It's bad politics for everybody around. It's not good. But he said he was drunk, which clearly he is. I don't think that's much of an excuse. Dude's 70. You got to make better decisions than this. At some point, you can't make these decisions. You can't make these controversial statements. But at the same time, he is 70. And it's like, so what? You think a 70-year-old man is going to march past Secret Service to body slam Kamala Harris? Like, come on, that's ridiculous. And so people taking it literally, but what can you do? This is politics, and everybody has to be offended to the nth degree, because that's the way politics works, especially in the United States. So let's get into this and see how many tears we can collect, and it ought to be entertaining. I got to fight through waves of people posting various wrestlers that don't like Hulk Hogan to try to get to some actual people. Matt Coon, former podcaster, partner of Dax Harwood, once a racist, always a racist. Dude got his fanatics check and went back to it. I guess he was adding fanatics for a reason, trying to get their attention, which, you know, these people try to do all the time, is they want you to suffer. They want to attack you. But then again, if people were to do the other way around, they would think that it would call it snitch tagging, but whatever. Everyone knows about the Hulk Hogan N-word tape. This is not Matt Coon, by the way. We're moving on to somebody else. But nobody ever brings up when his son almost killed someone in a car accident. Hogan's biggest fear was him and his family being reincarnated as black people as punishment. That's some insane racism. Fuck Hulk Hogan now and forever. I never heard about this, his family being reincarnated as black people. That's hilarious, bro. God dang. Sheesh. That's real life hatred right there, brother. Here's this. The 1980s overrated roid head who dropped N-bombs on tape jokingly mistakes a Southeast Asian for a Native American and was the lauded guest at the Republican National Convention. I'm surprised. Yeah, I didn't get how he couldn't figure out which kind of Indian she was supposed to be, but then again, that tells you about his level of interest in this whole thing. He's been Donald Trump's personal friend for a long time, except for that couple of years when they were going back and forth. But he was friends with Trump in like the 80s, man. Like, he probably don't know the first thing about Kamala Harris and don't really care about that whole thing. And then most people are trying to do a genealogy test on Kamala Harris anyway. So there's a lot of people running around here don't know what kind of Indian she is. And it doesn't really matter anyway. I don't think it's really helpful to have the conversation about where her race is. As long as she was born in the United States, whatever. That's the important bit. Here's another one. Perhaps the FBI and the Secret Service should make a visit to Hulk for threatening to harm our VP. You mean the same Secret Service that let Donald Trump get shot? Which is like a gaggle of women? I'm pretty sure Hogan can handle that. He'll be okay. He'll be all right if a bunch of women showed up at his house. I don't think he'll lose any sleep about that one. Threatening violence against a woman and racism? Absolutely deplorable conduct by Hogan. Threatening violence. He says he did not threaten to body slam Kamala Harris. He didn't do that. He said he asked the crowd if he should, and they said yes. That's what it was. He didn't say he was going to. He didn't even say anything about hating her or anything like that. He made a joke. People are definitely overthinking this whole thing. But this is what people do. Here's another one. Wasn't Kathy Griffin completely canceled and treated as a terrorist because of a photo? I'm sure he'll receive none of the same repercussions. Well, the photo in question was of Donald Trump's severed, bloody head, which is not nearly the same thing as Hulk Hogan asking the crowd if he should body slam Kamala Harris, which most people took as a joke. Even if Kathy Griffin meant that as a joke, it is the severed head of a man running for president. That's a little bit more extreme than what we're talking about here. It's a little bit more extreme. A little bit more. Alright, here's another one. I fucking hate Hulk Hogan. He went on a racist rant. Not only threatened our VP, but can't even differentiate between people from India and Native Americans. I come from Native descent, and this pisses me off. I'm floored by that element right there, that he couldn't tell which kind of Indian she's supposed to be. That popped me huge. That pops the hell out of me. I'm sorry. You can be as mad as you want, But that getting the red dots and the feathers mixed up is hilarious. She's not running around in war paint, brother. It's not the same. I'm trying to skip the ones that involve too much politics and try to focus on the ones that are strictly about Hulk Hogan. AJ Francis, your boy Top Dollar, shaped like Foghorn Leghorn, says it's consistently so embarrassing as a black man and a wrestler when people ask me who my favorite wrestler was, and I started watching wrestling as a kid, and I have to admit it was Hulk Hogan. So what? If you were a child, so what? You were a child. Who was your favorite wrestler as a kid? Hulk Hogan. That doesn't mean you're a fan now. What is wrong with you people? Are you not capable of thinking? Sometimes you have favorite wrestlers that you kind of grow out of. He might not even be your favorite wrestler just because you grew up. You don't have to overthink these things. You really don't. Here's one that's particularly funny. I hope this man gets eaten by a gator with a cute hat. That one's pretty good. You want him to get eaten by the gator? Oh man. He just have a new pair of shoes. That's the Hulkster, brother. Wish he talked to the barrel of a 45 and tickle the trigger. Now, that's kind of psychotic, but all right. All right. That's a little bit closer to like, I hope you kill yourself. And there's a lot of people hoping that he dies, which is very interesting considering this supposed to be the morally righteous camp who just, you say something they don't like, they want you to die. Somebody said, stop interviewing this man. This is not an interview. I know that you got the wrong idea about this. It's not an interview. A reminder to people, Hulk Hogan does not represent modern pro wrestling. He's a vile old piece of garbage. Wrestling has changed, and we ain't going back. I think you're under the misconception that a bunch of wrestlers agree with you politically. While they may not go out in public and talk about body slamming Kamala Harris, they're pretty much not. Well, some of them are going to be Trump supporters, and some of them are going to be Kamala supporters, but I don't think at any point in time you're going to get a majority progressive wrestling base. I just don't see that happening. I'm sure they don't mind as long as they never ever talk about it, because that's typically when you get in trouble, is when you open your mouth. Hulk Hogan is showing who he has always been, 100% bigot. Plain and simple. Everyone has said so for decades. Everyone has said so. Everyone said so for decades. It must be true, bro. Hulk Hogan is a rhino and is now dead to me. Oh my goodness. Here's a pretty good one. I think this one's entertaining. As a white guy, I find it insane that another white guy, especially one who has tanned himself into unnatural shades of burnt orange and shoe leather brown, would ever comment on someone's ethnicity. The Iron Sheik was right. Fuck Hulk Hogan forever. Everybody is hiding under the Iron Sheik's skirt on this situation. Probably not. There's a lot of people that just know about the Twitter gimmick. They don't know too much about the Iron Sheik, it seems. Just a reminder that Hulk Hogan is a self-proclaimed racist, and pretty much every wrestler, including Jesse Ventura, the Iron Sheik, HBK, and Vinny freaking Russo, has a Hogan is a piece of shit story. Yeah, Hogan's difficult to deal with, brother. Everybody knows that. When you're the Hulkster, people have to deal with you. You don't have to deal with them. Yes. Oh, this one's entertaining. I guess this is the guy who wrote a version of this article for Body Slam. I guess he's quoting himself. He says, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you got to take a stand and don't help to hide. But that's exactly what Hulk Hogan is doing. When he's hiding behind a shtick that peaked in 1992, one that is only entertaining to a subsection of America who are only intelligent enough to chant USA because it's just 3 letters. In the 80s and 90s, Hulk Hogan was a hero. He was an icon. He was a legend. Now he's none of those things. He's not a hero. He is not a legend. He's not even a real American. Hulk Hogan is simply a sadly a washed up, bitter, ignorant caricature of a human being that only ever appeals to the lowest common denominator, most of whom also consider themselves to be real Americans. Amazing. This guy, I mean, he must have really enjoyed his White Guys for Harris Zoom call. There's just no way you can sit here and say Hulk Hogan is not an icon and not a hero. I mean, well, I guess you could say he's not a hero, but you can't say he's not a legend and an icon. Literally, the reason why you're talking about him is because he's a legend and an icon. And you could say his gimmick peaked in 1992. Well, that's probably fair. It probably peaked in 91, if we're being honest. Look, taking a shot at the folks, the people, saying that they're not smart, that's typical elitist. I'm a writer. I write for a living. You don't produce anything. You just sit back and judge people. You know, these kinds of comments, I don't even find them funny or entertaining. I just look at it as this is a guy who sees an opportunity to take a shot at other people. It's the one thing if you want to talk about Hulk Hogan, that's fine. I don't care about that. But when you talk about other people who have nothing to do with this, you know, and the fact that somebody wants to chant USA, what do you got against the USA? You know, this is a whole thing. I would choose not to go down that path. But it's questionable how many Democrats and people of that ilk have a problem with you actually, you know, flying the flag and chanting USA. But they swear to God they're not enemies of the country, or they don't hate the country. They just don't want you to chant positively about it or fly the flag or, you know, put America first. They don't want you to do any of that. But they swear to God they don't hate the country. So, White Guys for Harris, I understand. But this one was not it. You mistook the assignment. Here's a different guy. It sucks that Hulk Hogan sucks because Hulk Hogan would rule if Hulk Hogan didn't suck. That's that makes sense to me. It actually does. It's kind of circular, but it makes sense to me. Hulk Hogan would be great if he could be anybody other than fucking Hulk Hogan every once in a while, right? If he could literally be anybody else for a couple of hours, it would work out just fine for everybody, right? This one is pretty good too. Give Hulk Hogan a Heineken, and that racist gene in his body activates like the Winter Soldier. He flips a switch. Oh shit, you become the real German hero, huh? Jesus Christ. Oh, have mercy. Oh my goodness. This one is especially sad. Hulk Hogan, really, my dude? I used to look up to you. I was that fat kid too, and that story made you a hero to me. When did you become the heel? I even liked Suburban Commando. And he put sad face. Oh man, that's so sad. That's awful. He says, you were my hero. I choked. I'm sorry. I choked. You were my hero against the bullies. Made me look out for kids from other places. An ideal. Someone who could overcome anything. You body slammed Andre. He wrote Andrea. Andrea the Giant. And it blew my 8-year-old brain right out of my head. How? Fuck my life. That's tough. That's sad. But that's why Hulk Hogan has to be more careful about the things that he says. And it's like he knows the power of Hulk Hogan, the character, but only the marketing potential and the advertising potential of what Hulk Hogan, the character, is. He misses the values that Hulk Hogan, the character, stands for. And when you utilize that name and that image and the face and all the accoutrements that go along with Hulk Hogan, and you're using it in a negative way, you dilute that brand. You ruin it. Like, there's only so many times you can go through this whole, oh, that's terrible, this is Hulk Hogan stuff. There's just only so much you can do. You can't do that forever. People are not going to buy that. forever, right? And it doesn't benefit you in the long term to continuously do this. It just ruins your legacy. I said earlier that he's a legend, he's an icon, he's all of that. But the one thing that he's absolutely is not anymore is a hero. You know, he's lost that a long time ago. He lost that when he made the racist tapes. That was a long time. You can't see him as a hero anymore. I still, watch Saturday night's main event and laugh my ass off at Hulk Hogan. I still have a lot of fun watching Hulk Hogan matches and his promos and stuff. But it's cringe shit like this that makes you just say, like, we'd be better off if we didn't see this guy for a long time. We'd be better off if Hulk Hogan just wasn't around. If we could preserve what Hulk Hogan's supposed to be and what he means versus how he's being used to sell weed and beer. Like that stuff alone is not something that you would think Hulk Hogan would do. You go back to the 1980s, you're saying your prayers, you're taking your vitamins and all that. Was he really trying to get kids to drink beer and, smoke weed because he's got edibles or something like that? Like, all of that stuff seems off brand. So the Hulk Hogan brand, I guess, is just damaged beyond belief. It's just a bandana and a set of shades. It doesn't really stand for anything anymore. And when you really had a crowning achievement, an opportunity to re-solidify who Hulk Hogan is and what Hulk Hogan can be at the Republican National Convention, it was obviously going to be disregarded by people who hate the country, people who hate middle America, and people who think that you're a racist. That was already going to be people who are going to dismiss what you're doing. But you had a chance at resurgence amongst other people who looked at this and was like, that Hulk Hogan, man, he might be a bit of a jackass, but when he really turns it on, he's a hell of a performer. And he really got a strong message that he put out there. Even though his speech wasn't that great, his message was strong. The symbolism of the message was strong. But when you double down right after that with some dumb shit like this, mixing up the two different kinds of Indians, talking about body slamming a 60-year-old woman, everybody looks at you and like, bro, this is sad. Look at what you have come to. Look at what you have done to yourself. You're in a cubby hole, middle of nowhere, hole in the wall bar, selling cheap beer with your name and face on it, trying to make a couple of bucks, and you're talking about body slamming a 60-year-old. It wouldn't even matter if she's the vice president of the United States. It's a 60-year-old woman. It's like, you have to do better than that. If you're going to make a political statement, it should have been a positive one, And look, I'm not going to sit here and cape for Kamala. I'm not. Or Kamala, or whatever we calling her. I'm not going to cape for her. She's a crazy communist. But in the political arena, Hulk Hogan was just aligned with Donald Trump. Just aligned and given a platform at the Republican National Convention. About a month ago, maybe a little month and a half ago, and now he's embroiled in this shit. It's not helpful. It's not helpful to his brand. It's not helpful to his political allies. It's not even helpful to himself. He is doing himself zero favors. He's doing nothing but pissing people off. Now some of the people who were fans before are now looking at him like, yo, he's a carny idiot. Which they probably already thought he was anyway. You could always hang your hat on a lot of people just not following Hulk Hogan before he popped up at the RNC. They don't know too much about Hulk Hogan. That's why they had to do a whole media blitz telling everybody that he had sex with his best friend's wife and he got caught on tape saying the N-word and all that stuff. The whole media blitz afterwards was about that. But this in particular was awful. and it was stupid. This is one of those unforced errors that you have. And I'm not even talking about it like it could hurt Trump. It hurts wrestling. It hurts the fans. And it hurts the character. It doesn't do you any favors. Like, there's no wins here. I laughed a little bit, but that was about it. So let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
No one doesn't